Hey everyone, this is Peter, and welcome. I'm really excited today to talk about a game that I think has gotten sort of a bad rap, and from a lot of people, including myself. When I first played it, I was very disappointed, and I think a big part of that was because it came as a sequel to a phenomenal game, and the game is Phantasy Star 3, subtitled Generations of Doom. And Phantasy Star 2 was just a phenomenal game. So when the word of a sequel came out, everyone was excited, including myself. So I'm going to do the first 10 minutes, and here we go. Um, so there's the loading screen, and I think for a lot of people, the second game was so big in terms of scope and in terms of like everything that was going on with the story, including a lot of the twists and turns in the story, and also the conclusion left off kind of on a cliffhanger, and where you don't know what really happens at the end. So people were very excited about this new sequel, and I think the concept that was at the core of it was generations. So you would play 3 different generations, and at the end of each generation, depending on who you marry, you'd play in a completely different scenario. So that was, I mean, the first one was already big, and now we're getting 3 times that amount, and the possibilities seem just like mind-boggling. So obviously, a lot of people, again, including myself, were very excited. So here's the setup of the story. As you can see, there was like an ancient war, and it goes back to a legend and just this long struggle. And the struggle is between Orakio and Leia. I think I'm pronouncing that right. It might be Laia, and you're a prince named Reese of Orakio, and you're about to get married. So that's how you start, and the setting is a little bit different. Like if you remember part 2, you kind of started off in this kind of sci-fi futuristic city, and then you have you're haunted by all these nightmares of Elise, and in this one, it took kind of a turn for a more medieval setting, and you'll see right when we start. We're going to start really soon. It kind of abruptly faded right there, and it's more of a medieval classic RPG style. It almost kind of reminds me of Sword of Vermilion, another Genesis title that doesn't get enough credit, I think. So you're a princess, you're about to get married to Maya, and so you're going around and talking to the townspeople, and I kind of find it funny that everyone knows your kind of business well, there's congratulations, but I think at some point some guy even says, hey, you know, it's about time you got married. Yeah, trust in Orakio. Thank you. I think this guy, yeah, it's about time you got married. Thank you. I'm sure you know, people will be saying that to Prince William or Prince Harry. So there's so you're walking around before your wedding day, just casually, just talking with villagers, and that's just me, just walking around, just trying to get a feel for what's going on. Talking to some red-haired ladies. May Orakio watch over you. Thank you. And now we're gonna head to the castle to get hitched. And I find it funny. The whole story takes place around this. Well, you'll see with the plot, but it takes place with the princess getting kidnapped. And what I find funny is that the princess basically has lost her entire memory, so you know nothing about her, pretty much. And she'll even mention that. And she says, hopefully one day I'll get my memory back. It's... First of all, how do you know she's a princess if she doesn't have her memory? I mean, she's just kind of... I guess they just found her. So, yeah, you're about to meet the princess. Like you, she has blue hair, although her hair is light blue. I am honored. Perhaps someday we will find out where I'm from and who I am. Yeah, that would be very nice to know before we get married and I wed my life to you. But despite that, I still really like this setup. I played this, you know, for the first time when I was much younger, and I just like this concept of you're going off to get married, and this scene actually reminds me of a scene from the recent Wreck-It Ralph, where the Marine is getting married, and to the, you know, the one day, you know, she actually takes off from doing a perimeter search. The bugs come, and one of them swallows her fiance, who would be her husband. So here, there's a couple little interesting things. He refers to her as a lion scum and says, "I'm gonna go destroy the lions," right? And the soldiers are like, "Yeah, let's do it." But then the king says, "No one has seen a lion for over 1,000 years." Well, the lion was right there, right? So that was some of the dialogue was a little bit confusing. I wondered maybe if something got lost in translation. I'm not sure, but his reaction seems normal. Like, the princess just got kidnapped and he's pissed. He wants to go and find her, and the king is locking you up in the dungeon. This is your wedding day, right? So it's it's an interesting setup. Now I'm teasing the storyline. Obviously, it's just a JRPG for the Genesis, so you know it didn't have to make perfect sense. But at the same time, and you know, back then as a kid, I didn't question it as much. I had these questions, but you know, again, they were very minor. So you're in dungeon, you find these 3 treasures, which are convenient enough, and then a thief named Lena comes to your aid. Now, later, at the end of this generation, you actually get a choice between marrying Maya, who is the princess, or Lena, who's the thief, and depending on who you choose, it'll make a difference. You know, you'll live out a different generation. And that mechanic, I know, works really well. In Dragon Quest V, that generational concept was phenomenal. It was just amazing. It was very moving and touching, like from the opening scene to when you're born to the time when you have your own kids who are twins. It actually kind of recreated in a digital and in a limited sense what it felt like to have a child, and that sense of pride. This game, I don't know if it's as successful in that, even though there are things that it tries, which I really liked, and there are elements of this game that I think are great. I mean, otherwise I wouldn't even be playing this game right now. Obviously, of the 4, I've played and beaten all 4 Phantasy Stars in the original Genesis and the Sega Master System, and Phantasy Star 3 is sort of the odd man out. It is sort of the black sheep of the series because it's so different in the feel. Phantasy Star 4 and 1, and you know, of course 2, goes back to more of that futuristic feel. This has the futuristic elements, especially in like the tunnels between the different worlds, but it really strayed far from it, and there was a reason for it. I mean, when you find out, you know, spoilers, you know, when you find out more about where they actually are in the worlds they're inhabiting, it makes sense. They've kind of forgotten their whole past and their whole background, so it was like a veering, a turn away from the series, and I always applaud developers and designers when they try something different. I mean, it's not just iteration after iteration, but it's actually trying to be innovative. So in that sense, I liked it. And there was something like if you saw earlier when he talks to certain of the hero characters, it pops up like sort of an anime scene, which is how their dialogue happens. And I kind of really appreciated that, and I think they really developed that in Phantasy Star 4, where it was like full out comic book panels and stuff like that. But in this case, that gave it a sense of realism that I liked, a little touch that made the characters seem more real. So here I am outside, I've just escaped from the dungeon, and everyone seems pretty casual about it. The royal family is in mourning. Yeah, I get the royal family is in mourning. I should be the one who's in mourning because I'm the one who lost my fiance. But yeah, there it is. So I think at this point, I think the biggest disappointment in Phantasy Star 3, I mean, there was, obviously a lot of things that people were expecting, but I think the biggest disappointment was the battle system, because in Phantasy Star 2, you actually got to see all of your characters when they were fighting, and it was like that blue grid, kind of, like Tronish, and it looked great. And in this, you'll see pretty soon, the fights were really underwhelming. This is the fight, and when you start attacking, all you see is like a little slash. See, that's me attacking, that little white slime. And it's the same with when I get my whole party. And not being able to visualize your characters, I mean, even Final Fantasy 1, which I just previewed the first 10 minutes, even that had some sort of animation or motion to show the way they fight. And I think having that style made a huge difference in the first one, or the second one. So they brought it back for the fourth one, and in this one you can see right there, your next objective, I'm going to go actually talk to her again, it's to find a cyborg so you can take the boat. And that sort of wraps up my first 10 minutes of Phantasy Star 3. So thanks for listening, and make sure to follow this channel on YouTube. Thanks again.